You're not getting a return by going to Susie Sunshine Real Estate. They don't have the money to do it. They're never going to be able to give you stock. You're never going to have ownership in their company. You're never going to do anything other than sell real estate. And do you want to do that until you're 80 years old without any other income streams? No. If you do, okay, but I wouldn't suggest it, right? And so that was some of the reasons that agents were just like, hey, this isn't for me. And while that's perfectly fine and that's okay, I do think that because of the support that we gave them at such a high level and that we continue to give the agents that are with us here at HRP with EXP, those agents will come back home. And we always tell agents that you're welcome to come back home anytime. The door
Yeah.
is always open.
It's Kathy Byrnes here with Real Estate Riches, and I have a guest today who I just met last month and really impressed with her, and you're going to be too. Her name is Leanne Weathers, and here she is. Hey, girl.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So I met Leanne last month. As I said, we were she was sitting outside of the Airbnb that I was going to be staying at, and the room wasn't ready. We started chit-chatting, and she said she just joined EXP 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, wow. And then she told me she brought over 130 agents, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to know the whole story. And that's what we're going to find out, because it really is going to be compelling information for a lot of companies and boutiques and things like that. So let's tell your story.
Yeah. So started out at Keller Williams as a team leader, did not start out as an agent, automatically went into the team leader role. I was in investment banking and products before that, and just really fell in love with real estate. And honestly, with the recruiting part of real estate, I was in the top in the country. A black belt team leader recruiter. Took a market center that was at 110 people when I started. We grew to almost 300. And then we pivoted to putting smaller Keller Williams offices in rural towns throughout Georgia. And so we started to really make a name for ourselves, and that's where we started. And then we decided that we personally thought the franchise model was changing. It was going to be obsolete in the next few years with all of the different companies coming up with the option to have ownership in that
Yeah.
company. As you know, with franchises, you don't get that opportunity. And if you do, it's very small. So we decided, hey, we're going to open our own independent brokerage. And that's how HRP Realty came to be.
Yeah, and that was interesting to me because there's a path that so many realtors for ages have gone. First, I'm just going to be a solo agent, then I might form a team, and really teams have not been around forever and ever. That was a newer thing as I started to evolve about 20 years ago. And then, so then it was a team, and now you built this team and you're inside this franchise and you're just like you, hey, I'm just paying them. I'd like to go start my own. And then they start their own boutique and they find out that it isn't necessarily the rosy story that they'd imagined that it was going to be. And they're doing more production than the other, even though you've never done production, which I was so intrigued with. And so it's not as glamorous as one would hope because it just isn't. And those are some of the stories that I want to touch on. So you had mentioned to me that you never imagined yourself going to a company like EXP. Tell me what was
Yep.
the was it the mindset? Because a lot of firms, franchises, badmouth EXP because they lose agents to them. So what was your mindset of why you didn't want to go? Because it wasn't necessarily that.
No, not at all. I have no ill will toward big corporations or big real estate companies or anything like that. I think it's awesome. It's what makes the economy churn the way it does. However, for me, it was rules. Whenever you are in a box, so to speak, and that's what I kind of look at big companies as, you're in that box. You can only talk to agents that are in certain territories. You can only, oh, you can't go that far. That's so and so's territory, or you can't go that far. That's Susie's territory over there. I am not a good in the box person.
Me
I
either.
like Yeah, I like to be outside the box. I want the whole world at my fingertips. I want to be able, if I want to call an agent that I love that lives in London, I want to be able to call that agent and say, hey, girl, you're at this real estate company. Why don't you become self-employed? Because over there, it's a lot different than it is over here. When you
Absolutely.
have an independent company, obviously you can't do things like that because you just don't have the manpower or the money or the data and all the things that you need for that. But also, that was one of the reasons why we came. But as far as like why we didn't initially come to EXP, honestly, it was because we didn't want anyone telling us what we could or couldn't do. We didn't want someone saying, hey, your agents have to have this color or you have to do this metric. I'm just not a firm believer in boxes. I tend to go outside of them.
Yes. And when you finally saw with EXP, you didn't have to be inside a box, right?
No, you don't. And that's probably the biggest like eye-opening thing for me is that EXP is not a box. EXP is a platform. So when you open your own real estate company, you have all of these different things you need. Well, with EXP, everything is right there. You just plug into it. And I know a lot of people watching this are probably like, oh, you have to change your stats or you have to change this or that. Listen, there are so many different ways that you can maneuver and do things with inside this platform. Stop thinking that way. Don't think about, oh, all of this could go wrong. Think about what could go right, right?
Hmm.
Think about all of the different options, and you don't know unless you ask.
Yeah.
Like, just hop on a call with somebody and say, hey, do you know if they've ever done this? Maybe not. Maybe it'll be the first time. Maybe it'll be the second time. You don't know. So that's
Well,
what I would encourage people to do.
I love that. And one of the things that Glenn Sanford, the founder, loves is input because this is the
Yeah.
most agent-centric company I've ever been with. It's my fifth one. I think it's five. And what I never found collaboration at other companies, but I never saw it where the agent either was top of mind. You know, it was more the client was top of mind. Not that it shouldn't be top of mind for us as agents, but the company, we are the ones that make the company money. And Glenn Stanford said, yeah, I'm going to make this agent centric on steroids. And he did. So he's extremely receptive to you tell me we got an idea or a problem, we're going to figure it out and we're going to fix it. And I love that.
It's amazing. When we were at EXPCon, they have something there called X Camp.
Yes.
And literally standing there with, hundreds of other agents. And I kind of just look to my right and there's Glenn Sanford. And he's
Yeah.
just sitting there. Like if you didn't know who he was, you would think he was just a normal agent, just there at X Camp and putting ideas in and things like that. That really stuck out to me because every big company that I've ever seen, that I've ever been with, those people are kind of like behind a door, kind
Yep.
of Wizard of Odyssey, right? Like they have their little, and then they have people behind there. Like you're not going to get to those people unless you're like invited to a special mastermind, you pay a bunch of money,
Hmm.
or you do something that's just extraordinary. Leo, Glenn, Wendy, all of them are at the front, like welcoming people and
Yep.
clapping as people come in. It's just a completely different feel than any of the other places I've ever been. So when you say it's agent centric, like I asked Glenn a question about, I think it was Slack or something like that. And he's like, oh, we have a fix for that. And that's when he made Hub and it came out. And so I'm just like, who would never be able to walk up to, a Gary Keller and be like, hey, dude, da, 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 da. He'd be like, who are you? I
Yeah.
mean, it's a different
Different.
feel.
Different.
Yeah.
It's wonderfully different. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I've been with EXP about a little over 8 years, and we had 3,200 agents when I started. When I went to all these events, he was at everything, and and I thought as we grew, he might disappear, but it didn't happen. And he's a
Mhm.
geek. You ask him, he goes, I'm a geek. I'm here to learn. I love it. All those players that you just mentioned were the top key players of the company, and they also have their licenses and have done this on steroids. And Leo Perea, who is the CEO, he's the founder of Remind. He created Remind that's in almost all our MLSs, which is an incredible product. And we got key people here helping everybody. But one
So
thing I wanted to,
smart.
yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you, you had 130 agents in your boutique. And so now they say yes, they're going to come over. which was
Yep.
amazing. But let's talk about the ones who said, I'm not sticking around and they
Yeah.
left. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. So there were some who I actually just posted a Facebook post this morning, who thought that EXP was not local.
Hmm.
That was kind of their thing. They wanted to be with a local firm. Challenge that thinking as far as, okay, if you use a mortgage lender, but they do business, they're a mortgage lender for, name the company, those people are still local, but their corporation's not here. You use
Right.
a insurance agent. Their company is not corporate, it's not local, but they are, and they do things. So local has a way different connotation than I think what people think it does.
Hmm.
So that was one of them. Another one was, hey, the splits are too low, because we had different splits.
Hmm.
We had different caps, we had different technology, we had different ways. This is my thing with that. If it's too expensive for you, I don't really get that. Because here's my thing. I look at every other real estate company because I used to compete against them.
Yeah.
So I know what they offer you and what you can get in return, right?
Right.
And that is the biggest thing for me. You're not getting a return by going to Susie Sunshine Real Estate. They don't have the money to do it. They're never going to be able to give you stock. You're never going to have ownership in their company. You're never going to do anything other than sell real estate. And do you want to do that until you're 80 years old without any other income streams? No. If you do, okay, but I wouldn't suggest it.
Right.
Right. And so that was some of the reasons that agents were just like, hey, this isn't for me. And while that's perfectly fine and that's okay, I do think that because of the support that we gave them at such a high level, and that we continue to give the agents that are with us here at HRP with EXP, those agents will come back home. And we always tell agents that you're welcome to come back home anytime. The door
Yeah.
is always open. Yep.
Boy, that's such an important thing, Leanne. I was with Remax for around 7 years, and I had a business partner at the time, and we felt we kind of outgrew Remax, and so we were going to go to another firm that had lower splits and more net for us, right? And when we went to give our notice about this, they fought us tooth and nail. There was not a happy exit. And I said to the owner of that series of franchises, I said, what if I don't like it at this new place and I wanted to come back? Do you think I would ever come back with the way you just treated me? Especially since I was one of your top producers for 7 years over here. I said, you just put such a bad taste in my mouth for how you run your franchise. And now he was an individual. That's not all of Remax. That was the owner of
Of course
that.
not.
And it was just poor business. And what you just exemplified was how, go spread your wings, go try and do what you need to do. You're always welcome back. And did you
Yep.
find that some came back?
Yes, we actually had one lady who went to what I call like a pay per brokerage. They just pay a monthly fee, usually a higher monthly fee, and then that's kind of it, right? But at the end of the day, that's kind of it,
That is
right?
it.
They're not gonna do a lot if you're paying them, $200 plus or $300 plus. You get to hold your license there, and they may help you with some contracts just because they don't want to get in trouble compliance wise. But other than that, that's it. And I think what she found was, hey, I really do need I can just pick up the phone, and now we have hundreds of people you can call for help. We
Yes.
have classes every hour, pretty much on the hour at
Yes.
EXP. You cannot say that you cannot get help. You cannot say that you do not have classes. You cannot say that you don't have referral systems. You cannot say that you don't have any of those things, because they're all right there for you.
Yes.
And when you're going to a paper brokerage or a monthly fee brokerage, they just will not ever have the capability to do that. It's just not financially possible.
It's not financially possible, and that's really the key right there. People, say, "Well, your splits are too high. I can go here and I can do this for." In my mind, that's where you go to die because there's no support.
Yeah.
There's no support, and unless you're a friggin' rock star, that's the only reason to do it. And yet you're wasting your money because you said, like you said, the residual income, the stock, all the other things of the opportunities, and all your agents, not just you as the owner of the team, get the same thing. They can build an enormous business all on their own while being on your team, right?
You can build whatever you want inside of this platform.
Yes.
I am now able to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, oh, you want to like help people and you want to tell them all the great things you found at EXP. Guess what you can do? You can get compensated for that.
Yes.
And they're like, what? And then you explain how rev share works. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, I know you don't really do rev share, but you do tons of production. Did you know that you can get your cap back in stock for doing XYZ? What?
What?
Yeah. Oh, did you also know that we have healthcare? What? Like it's kind of that situation. But what I found is you have to have people who have that right mindset.
Yeah, yeah,
If someone is just concerned about the price, then this isn't the place for you. And
I
that's
agree.
okay. But it's just, if that's all you're concerned about is, hey, I just want to pay 200 and something dollars. Okay, well then go that.
Yeah. And that's a valid point. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm looking for the ones that are really looking for more. I'm looking for
Yep.
the ones that are entrepreneur mindset, who
Mhm.
see this as a business, not just as a sales job.
Yes.
Right?
And that is a complete difference. There are differences in agents who are looking at this is my business
Yep.
than agents who are like, I just sell real estate.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Why? Because, well, especially for me, I started at 56 in the real estate career in 2006, dead broke. So I had to figure, and in a brand new state where I only knew one person. So I had to figure out, how am I going to build a business? I'd built businesses before, so I figured I could. And I thought, but how am I going to build it in a state that I don't know? And I got to figure out a niche, I got to figure out a plan. So I dove in to treat it like a business. And here I am, 75, but I kept looking, even though I was building it, because I didn't have EXP in the beginning. I was going through other platforms for other companies, and I was working my tail off. Also, the whole market crashed in 2007, so that was another challenge. But you just figure things out if you have an entrepreneur mindset and a dig in and going after it. But the other thing is, I just kept doing it, but I kept seeing, man, I don't know how I'll ever build up enough stash to basically stop at the age that I started at, right? And
Yeah.
I saw myself putting signs in at 80 years old. And when EXP came along and I saw the rev share and I saw the stock, I saw an end game. And the first thing it did, mostly I saw collaboration. That was the big thing I saw, that people were willing to help empower me to get to the points where I could build the rev share. And I told everybody about it. And so I started to build my rev share. And within my first rev share check was $48, and I was over the moon because they gave me money. They gave me money.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like people say, oh, rev share is like not a real thing, or they don't want to recruit people. It's not about that. Like for me, yes, that's what I do. I make no mistake about that.
Yes.
If I'm recruiting you, then you're doing something right in the real estate world, and I want to enhance that with all of the
Yes.
tools, the technology, all of the things that EXP has.
Right.
That's what I do. However, if you're an agent and you're like, oh, I don't want to, you don't have to. What you do is you're just like, oh, what will happen is that you're so super happy where you're at, and they see you start to win all these listing appointments, and they see you start to win all these buyers, and they see you're starting to become I'm doing the girls with grit 5 mile famous. Like they start to see that you're that 5 mile famous, and they're like, well, how did you do that? How did you get there? How did you do all of that stuff? Okay, well, that's what the backing of EXP will bring to you. And then that just makes people automatically want to partner with you.
I
And
agree.
that helps that revenue stream income for you.
Yeah.
And you want to help people you like, so they're your friends. So
Yeah.
it's just it's a win-win. It's not like you have to sit them down and say, we need to have a talk about your business. Like
Yeah.
like that.
For me, I see it as the greatest gift I can give a realtor is to bring them
Yes.
to introduce. You don't have to take the gift. In the beginning, I was talking to anybody and everybody about it because I was so friggin' excited about it. And they call that throwing up on your EXP all over people. But the truth is, we are excited because you suddenly saw things that you didn't have before and like, oh my gosh.
Yes, it's almost you. It's almost, so me and my son last night were watching Superman, the new one. And when he walks through that like portal, it's like a different world, right? And it's almost like that. Like once you like walk through that portal and you actually see all of the things that you can do inside of EXP and you understand it, I'm still learning new things.
Sure.
But when you understand it at that financial level, and you understand it at that business entrepreneur mindset level, you can't unsee it. You can't. And if you have a calculator and you can do math, then it works. There's nothing that compares to it. There, seriously, there's not. And if anybody wants to run numbers, I'm happy to do that for you because there's nothing that compares to it.
Yeah, especially coming from you because that was your business to evaluate other firms and see
Yes.
what made yours better. And that's just it. Now I have agents that are not diving in and they'll say to me, "Well, I don't see what's the good over here." I said, "Well, I'm going to talk real straight to you, buddy. You haven't dove in. You haven't even taken advantage of what we got here." Because in the beginning, it is like a fire hose of opportunity that comes to you because it's
There's so much.
so much. And
Mhm.
I tell agents, I said, you're going to start getting a massive amount of emails. Just set up a little folder over here in Google. Just let all those go in there so that you can reference them, so that you can digest it. But jump in, like you said, Girls with Grit, amazing coaching, and they give away so much for free, even if you don't join their coaching right off the bat. And
Yep.
I can't tell you the number of agents that I've met that have benefited from that. This co-sponsor program right now, I had a woman reach out to me from France yesterday because I go global. I'm looking for the global
Mhm.
opportunities, which we can because now we're in 31 countries, growing, growing, growing. And I want to do high net worth, outgoing global referrals. And so that's how I do my marketing is finding that client to refer to agents, EXP agents, ideally over in these different countries. But along the way, meeting agents who are not yet with EXP in all these global countries and bringing them to it. And that's where co-sponsorship is an amazing tool because the woman who called me yesterday who wants to join EXP with me is in Rome, is right outside of Rome. I happen to have met one of the top luxury agents in Italy who lives in Rome, and I've met him at the different international conventions, just like how brilliant it was that you came to that one within 3 weeks in Miami. Well, anyway, I reached out to him. I said, would you be the sponsor? Because then that means his whole upline will work with her in Italy. And I said, I'll be the co-sponsor here in the States and give you the different talents that I bring to the table. And so it's
Absolutely.
awesome,
It is. And when I first heard about co-sponsorship, you have to remember I was an independent brokerage.
right?
And I remember I texted Adam because Adam Day is like my bestie. And I texted him and I was like, I think this was a bad idea. I think it's going to make more agents call more people and get aggravated. Da, 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 da. Now is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm willing to say I'm wrong when I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. But I was really wrong on that because just like what you said, if there's an agent like had someone from another country reach out to me from something I posted on LinkedIn and I was like I know enough about EXP to be dangerous and to get you to the right person. And then I can help you with the talents that I have, and
Right.
they can help you locally with the
Yes.
talents that they have and plug you into all of those local things that they're doing, which is so important. And
Yes.
I'm just like, that's the key, right?
That's
You
the
have two
brilliance.
people and you're bringing so brilliant. It's
Two for the
so
price of
smart.
one, plus the whole company.
Yes. Yes,
And
it's just So smart.
And just for everybody on here, Adam Day is the head of all of Europe, and he is her upline sponsor. So she can just call up the head of Europe for EXP. We're 88,000 plus number of agents worldwide. And that's the beauty of being able, when you go to these events, you also get connected with people like that. That's how I met Adam. And Adam helped me with someone in Portugal and really went above and beyond to help me with this particular person. And Adam is not in my organization. And I know we're kind of talking technical here, so I want to get off track on that. I don't want to get off track on that, but reach out to one of us and we'll tell you more. Is there any, what else did I want to ask you? Oh, the fact that you went to that EXP Con right off the bat, which was a convention in Miami that we do. We do one in the heart of the United States somewhere, but now this year they've expanded it. The next convention is in South Africa. Then they're doing it, I think, in Vancouver. July, it'll be in Paris. I will be there. And the cool thing is I've partnered up with two other women that are not in my organization within EXP. One's in Portugal and one is in Chicago. And they're doing road shows before those events for agents to be able to get to know the territory for the referrals that they might have to meet the agents that are EXP in these different platforms to be doing outgoing referrals, which takes your business from your little territory that you're in right now to the globe. And you can write it off because you're
Yes.
doing business and you're having fun. And that one, the one in South Africa is going to include a safari and a wine tour. And it's awesome. And those two women have incredible skills. And I'm the one that'll do some marketing, but we're all working it together to invite agents. And that's what I mean. It helps you start thinking so much bigger.
Yeah, and that's probably been the one thing that have been struggling with, but kind of getting into the mindset of agents in our smaller towns is, guys, think bigger.
Yeah.
Don't just think Macon, Georgia. Think bigger, think more, think all of these things. But that has to happen in time, right? That's
It
a
does.
progression. And so, like my son, for instance, a lot of people think, oh, just basketball, like local basketball. And while that is important, yes. But he got a letter in the mail yesterday and he's like, hey, let's go to Spain this summer because I want to play basketball with this particular team.
Woo.
That's what you need to do. Children don't think in borders. They
Yeah.
don't think, oh, I can't be Superman or I can't be Batman or I can't go to Spain and play basketball. They think outside of that. When you're an adult, you stop doing that because of all the things, but go back to that. Why
Yeah.
can't you?
Yeah. Why can't you?
Yeah, why can't
What
you?
what was your favorite thing that you got out of EXPCon?
Oh my gosh, honestly and truly, the connections and just hearing that people, Bob Kunkel from Commercial Con, he was probably the person I remembered the most because this man closed $1 billion deal in one deal. And he still walks the streets of New York City and highlights and does plats and says, what's going on over here? What's going on? And he has a map room to see that someone who sells that real estate at that high of a level still working. That's the key, the work. That's what I think a lot of agents are missing. You have to do the work. If a
Yeah.
man who sells $1 billion deal is still out walking the street
Yeah.
and taking notes, really means you should probably do the same.
Yeah, because he's a billionaire. He doesn't need to do that. And
That's what
yet
I need to do.
he has a passion for it. And that's
Yes.
really, you got to find, you can find your niche within EXP where you'll find your passion and then run with it. And then there's no stopping you. Me, I'm on fire with it right now. And I love what I'm doing over here. And mine is not your typical sales. I have a whole unique path. I keep saying to everybody, I'm kind of a unicorn, but it works for me.
And that's the joy of being in a platform like this. You can choose which way you want to go and what you want to do.
Yeah. Any other nuggets you want to share with us, girl?
No, say just like I go back to the kid thing, like start dreaming again.
Yeah.
Start thinking about this as a business and your business and use what the platform gives you to grow bigger than you ever thought. But you have to really work at changing your mindset for that. But do the work on yourself and then it will reflect outward.
That's great. So, well, I appreciate having you on here like crazy. This is, as soon as I met you, I said, oh man, we got to talk on a podcast because I knew you were going to help a lot of people because most of these boutiques are actually struggling out there. I feel like because you weren't selling, you had a different kind of struggle. You saw limitations, but a lot of them, the owner is the primary agent and they're struggling because they're the one doing all the work to get the sales. They're paying basically all the bills. People aren't doing enough, yet they're complaining. And the liability on it all to be, the owner. Oof, all that goes away when
It
you take
does.
your brand and put it on that platform. And now it's a breeze. Now you get all the tools and all the toys and all the collaboration.
Yeah, for me, it's just a no-brainer, but like I said, you have to be able to see it for yourself and just be open-minded and have a conversation with someone. No one is going to be like, if you don't come to EXP, it's not like that. Like they're just like, let me show you what I have found, especially someone coming from owning an independent brokerage. Let me show you how we did it. And then if that works for you, great. But if you need it done in a different way, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Or you could say, I don't like any of this and it's not for me. And that's fun too.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah,
It's great. What's cool about that co-sponsorship too is even you and I could be co-sponsors together because I'm in North
exactly.
Carolina. Where are you at?
In Georgia.
In Georgia.
Yep.
But you've got the experience of the whole owning your firm. That's not my expertise. I'm the AI, I'm the global. So even that could work together. So, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. My point is there's all these variables of how you can create co-sponsorship to really elevate the opportunity at a whole new level as well. So we're going to have all of Leanne's information right below, so you'll be able to reach out and talk to her. Mine will be there as well. And this has just been so great having you on, and I appreciate it so much, Leanne.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Me too. I appreciate you. So that's it for us this week on Real Estate Riches. And if you like this, stay tuned for more and reach out and schedule a business call with me if you want to discuss this. Love to talk to you. Let's book a strategy call and see how it would look in your eyes. And if you're thinking, man, I'd like to have a conversation with Kathy Byrnes. Maybe I'd like to be part of this EXP company and see what it's all about. That sounds good to me. Let's book a strategy call and let's have a talk. No pressure, but man, it's worth a conversation. The link's in the description.